It's time for some new front seats. Alright, we have the old front seat on the right. The cushion on that is pretty much shot and the springs are completely dead, so you kind of sit in a bucket. So we got the new Procar white vinyl seats that we're going to put in. The Procar seats come with these slider mounts. So this is the bottom view, and then when it's on the seat, they sit this way. You can pull the lever side forward and backwards, so they have these little angles, faces to mate with. The bus does not have anything that interfaces with, so what we're going to do is chop this down so only the first hole's there, and then use some steel angle brackets I'm going to weld in, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. We have the passenger side seat removed right now. So let me get the seat belt out of the way so you can see. So the original seat, the way it mounted it has these two little brackets here, and it just kind of keyed in, and there's a little forward slop on it, so you can just hook the seat in and it's just free floating there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to remove these pieces, and then we're going to take these angles, cut them to size, cut them to side, weld them in, and then drill holes on this top face, and then this guy is going to, sit and bolt onto that. So pretty lucky that this one is actually bolted on. I think that's how it should be. This guy right here, looks like this strip was welded on by someone at some point. So this guy's welded on, so we're going to have to cut this off. Before I clean off the paint to do the welding inside the bus, I'm going to cut the angles to length now. So it's going to be about 17 inches long. And I'm also going to slice the mounting piece down to that first hole, so I'm going to cut off those bottom two holes. So we went ahead and mounted the sliding tracks onto the base of the seat. It's kind of a pain because you have to slide the tracks up and down maximum each direction to actually get access to those bolts to bolt them straight into the seat. Now what we're going to do is take the angle clamps, clamp them on here, get our alignment, mark our holes, drill the holes, and then bolt this all together. So this is a single unit with those rails. Then we're going to unbolt this, take those rails into the bus, mark where we're going to weld it, clean it off, and weld that into the bus. This is how we have it jigged up right now. So the angles are clamped on how they're going to be, and then I'm going to take a center punch, mark in the hole, center punch that, and then take these off, drill the holes out. As always, since we're doing plain steel, we're going to use the poor man's cutting fluid, good old WD-40. Now taking a moment to thank our sponsor, not Procar, because we paid for these seats ourselves, but Callalily photos, our one hobby that loses the least amount of money. Okay, we got our frame bolts together and roughly where we want it, so now I'm going to go in with the flappy abrasive wheel and clean off all the paint so we have a nice weld surface. Alright, so we got this all tacked in. We're going to take the rail pieces off, mount them back on the seat, and then finish up these welds and clean it up, and then we can throw the seat in and see how it goes. We got the rails back on the seat, and one thing to note is this little connecting wire they give you. If you go to the high slot, it disengages this side without disengaging that side, and if you do the low slot, it disengages this side without that side. So the wire is either too short or too long. So what we did was we just took some needle nose pliers and bent this a couple times so we got the length that works, and now they both disengage when you do it. So make sure you take care of that before you install this in the car. Alright, because I wasn't thinking ahead and not accounting for the welds on those L channels, the the weld bead got in the way of mounting this, so I went ahead and grinded a chamfer on all these guys to give a little bit of room for the weld. And now for the driver's side, this mounts a little bit different than the passenger side did. In the factory setting, this is actually already on sliding rails. So to get it off, you pull a lever to disengage and then just slide it forward and pull it right off. Like so. So my original plan was to mount this where I wouldn't have to modify the original rails on here. Unfortunately, I don't see an easy path to that, so I'm going to be grinding and cutting and welding over these. And then besides that, it's going to be exactly the same as the passenger side, so I'm not going to show that, and we're just going to skip to the end result. Side note before we jump to the end, we got our frame kind of pre-assembled longer. Going to cut this down to size once we mark out exactly where we want it. But I went ahead and I bent the 2 front tabs down. One, we can register off this tab to weld it in and get it straight, but then this kind of gives a chance, even though I'm going to weld to it, if anyone ever does want to go back and put the old style seat in, there'll be enough bones here that they can repair it, bend these back up, and put the old style seat back in.